Taoiseach, I'm conscious that this is your last Leaders' Questions. I'm conscious also that there's been a bit of a rebirth lately, with the prevailing narrative being that history is going to remember you kindly. But you know what? When the dust settles, your legacy is going to be stained by the manner in which you handled the departure of the last Garda Commissioner, a stain which has obviously cast a shadow over your willingness or your ability to deal with the present one. So I want to genuinely put it to you, Taoiseach, that it's not too late to change tack. It's not too late to act in the interests of An Garda Síochána. Now, Taoiseach, last week I received information under FOI from the Medical Bureau of Road Safety, which shows very clearly that officers in An Garda Síochána were well aware in 2014 that every breath test machine had a running total of breath tests done each time it was calibrated, and that each machine was returned to every station with a form outlining those numbers. So the information which the Garda Commissioner told us they only got in March this year and responded to promptly, they actually had all along, and loads of Gardaí knew about it. Meanwhile, whistleblower Nick Keogh also got information under FOI last week that showed in September 2016 written reports were being sought for the Commissioner about his treatment and bullying and harassment he was receiving. Bullying and harassment which the Commissioner denied to the Justice Committee. Meanwhile, at the Public Accounts Committee this morning, we're seeing an insight into the open warfare that's taken place with the civilian heads and the Garda hierarchy. Taoiseach, this is unsustainable. The Gardaí's auditor being deliberately obstructed in his work, and that's without even mentioning the missing phone. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that to lose one phone is careless, to lose two smacks of perverting the course of justice. And that's what it is, particularly when you know that the owner of that phone was the very person charged by the Minister with ensuring the retention of data and new procedures would be put in place when the old Commissioner lost his phone. Come on. It's gone too far at this stage. No matter what way you look at it, that's a sackable offence. It's very clear now. The tactic being used by the Commissioner in O'Higgins to impugn the motivation of Maurice McCabe to undermine his testimony is now going to be replicated with Charlton, with Dave Taylor being scapegoated this time. The work of the Commission is being deliberately and consciously undermined. We've known that for some time through the existence of the Tribunal Liaison Group inside the Garda Síochána to filter information that goes to Charlton. But I want to know, Taoiseach, the continuance of this group is a threat to the effective operation of the Charlton inquiry, and my question is, what are you going to do about it? Do you think it's acceptable that a commission set up by this House is having its work undermined? I don't think it's fair that you would leave the decision to remove the Commissioner to either Simon or Leo. A sign of a good leader is someone who says they can change their mind. It's not too late for you to ask her to stand down.
Thank you, Deputy Daly. Taoiseach.
Well, we had a lot of discussion about this here already. The government made the decision and the House accepted that the Charlton inquiry should be set up. And as I pointed out to Deputy Barry yesterday, Mr Justice Charlton is an exceptionally appropriate appointment for this, having dealt with the Morris Tribunal over a decade in Donegal. And I prefer really to have to let him have his commission do its work. I don't know whether the allegation of this particular phone being missing is true or not, but the Justice has already set out the timescale and the hearings that are to take place, and there are public hearings of the Charlton Commission in July on this very issue. Now, the PAC are meeting this morning, and I've heard some of the comments and the discrepancies that exist, indeed, between some of the contributions that are being made there. But be that as it may, this House has set up a commission of investigation here, a tribunal to deal with this matter, and no better person than Justice Charlton to do that. So your question about the previous Commissioner was the subject of a full-scale tribunal of investigation or commission of investigation, which made its judgment and ruling in respect of the previous Commissioner. Obviously, the current Commissioner is one of the people whom I named yesterday yesterday as having legal representation at the Charlton inquiry, and the hearings in that take place in public in July. And that's not too far distant. I expect Justice Charlton will find out the veracity of these allegations, the facts and the truth. That's why he's appointed.
Intelligent man, Taoiseach, which leads me to believe that you're actually being deliberately obtuse here in this scenario. I've no problem with Justice Charlton doing his job. What I have a problem with is other people actively and deliberately trying to undermine and frustrate his efforts to do that job, the facts of which you say you don't know. I do know. Let's even park the phone for now. Let's look at the existence of the Tribunal Liaison Group, a clearinghouse of hand-picked loyalists who've been employed or seconded inside on Garda Síochána to filter information going to Charlton. You haven't commented about that. Do you have a problem about the fact that people, civilians, are being employed back into on Garda Síochána to deal with this outside the protocol which requires the policing authority should be reformed? Why were these people picked? What's going on there? Taoiseach, you can't dodge this issue. It's actually going to stain your legacy. I feel bad for you because of that. And, you know, it might make one of the two lads seem like a hero when in a couple of weeks' time, this decision is going to be made by one of them. But you know who it's really not fair for? It's not really fair to the members, civilian and ordinary Gardaí, whose force is falling down around them with every day you sit on this and do nothing.
Taoiseach. I think you underestimate the capacity of Justice Charlton completely here. He's a sole member in charge of a full tribunal here. And he's not the kind of person who's going to be led astray by filtered information. He's not that kind of person. So believe me, if you're suggesting that the Tribunal Liaison Group is deliberately filtering information to him that's either irrelevant or not relevant or not meaningful to what he's actually at, he's not the kind of person, Deputy Daly, who's going to let that pass by. I have every faith in Justice Charlton in doing absolutely 100% what he's appointed to do, and he's not the kind of person to accept information that may be filtered, that he may be asked to accept as being the full truth. His job is to find that out, and I have 100% faith in him that he will find that out. And the people who go before him had better be very clear in the answers that they give him.